ever seen The Truman Show, you can see how it's a lot like waking up. Waking up to this fake reality that we find ourselves living in. News stories are completely fabricated and are crafted to instill fear into the population and divide the people along with religion and politics. The education system is a brainwashing machine in place to teach slaves how to function with a shitty job in a society that's crumbling by design. The allopathic medical system harms people instead of healing them or teaching them how to heal. The food isn't real. The drinks aren't real. The movie, music, fashion, and adult film industries are all highly responsible for fueling this toxic environment that's constantly degrading around us. When one begins to see all this and awaken from a lifetime of deception, it's very much reminiscent of the character Truman of The Truman Show. Before The Matrix, there was The Truman Show. Whoa. A 1998 film starring Jim Carrey, or JC, as Truman Burbank, the unwitting superstar of the world's most popular television program that runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's called Hanging with Mr. Burbank. Okay, yeah, you got me. It's called The Truman Show. For nearly 30 years, Truman is completely unaware of the fact that his life is being broadcast live every minute of every day, with roughly 5,000 hidden cameras within the set. The set is a giant domed structure in Burbank, California, which is where Truman gets his last name. Inside the dome, there is an entire mock-up island town called Sea Haven. Truman was adopted by a corporation as a baby in order to televise his life and make the show possible. To help keep Truman from learning the truth, they kill off the character that plays his father in a boating accident while Truman is just a young boy. This makes him terrified of the water. Besides that, other fear-based propaganda is posted throughout the set, like this poster at the fake airline that says, "It could happen to you," and displays an airplane being struck by lightning. And another that reads, "Travelers beware. Have you bought enough travel insurance to protect against terrorists, disease, wild animals, street gangs?" In fact, all the press within the domed set works to keep Truman complacent. There is a scene where Truman is making a phone call to try and track down a woman that he believes moved to Fiji. Right when he does this, a co-worker pops up and reveals a fresh newspaper where the headline reads, "The best place on Earth, Sea Haven, voted planet's top town," just before flashing a Masonic hand gesture. Signs and symbols rule the world, not words nor laws. A quote often attributed to Confucius, but whether he said it or not, it's absolutely true. Anyway, another example of keeping Truman under mind control is when Truman is a boy in school. He expresses that he wants to be an explorer, but his teacher completely shuts him down.
I'd like to be an explorer, like the Great Magellan.
Oh, you're too late. There's really nothing left to explore.
And when Truman expresses to his fake wife that he wants to see the world, she explains how it's not a good idea because they are tied down by finances.
We have mortgage payments, Truman. We have car payments. What, we're just going to walk away from our financial obligations?
Adventure.
I thought we were going to try for a baby.
So most of us have seen this movie. It's really good, and many people chop it up to being ahead of its time, basically because it foreshadowed reality TV and shows the ridiculous length some will go to exploit other humans for entertainment. Yeah, that's kind of a part of it, but pretty much everyone missed the bigger picture. This film is about you. It's about your life. You are Truman, the true man, or true woman, or simply change Truman Show to The Human Show. You have been closely monitored since the day you were born, and by now you have also been conditioned to be okay with that fact. You go through their schooling and you're taught only what they want you to know. With this amazing knowledge, you become a paycheck-earning member of the workforce and begin making make-believe money so you can feed it back into the system, creating a perpetual cycle where you are always enslaved by the debts you owe. It's a trap, and you can't get out of it. Meanwhile,
Shalom, Kahala Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai. I want to give double honors to my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, with the house of David reborn again in this generation. And Shalom to the 130 Yasharallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as and still are the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about the Truman Show, right? Or as the guy told you in the video, the True Man Show, or the Human Show. Okay, because if you ever watched that video, Akim, which by the way, if you have not, I recommend you watch it. Or even if Jim Carrey is not really your flavor, you know, it's a good movie, right? Just like The Matrix, it shows a lot of deep truths, right? Because one thing that the Truman Show reveals is how society is set up, not just like for Truman in that movie, but for all of us, right? Let's go ahead and read this before I get into any more details of this. This is Isaiah 59:9. Therefore is judgment far from us, neither does judgment overtake us. We wait for light, but behold obscurity, for brightness, but we walk in darkness. We grope for the wall like the blind. We grope for as if we had no eyes. We stumble at noonday as in the night. We are in desolate places as dead men. So you see, the show Truman, you know, when you watch that movie, you see that the world that is presented to Truman is a perfect reality, right? Everything is made to benefit Truman and to give him what he perceives that he needs, right? Just like our reality here in Babylon the Great, right? Because again, there's a lot of Israelites, Negro, Latino, Native Americans around the world, and in other countries, you know, things are a bit roughed, or you know, you don't have it as nice as you do here in Babylon the Great, right? Even though Babylon the Great is a wicked ass place, you know, we have a benefit, right, for being here, right? Because it is the top of the Edomite kingdom, and hence we have all the benefits and luxuries that are afforded to us here, right? Because though this place is going to be the place of judgment, it is also the place right now that is delighting in the world's, you know, fatness, I guess you could say, right? And because of that, us Israelites, even though we are serving our captivity here, we can also benefit from this, right? But when you get past all the benefits, all the luxuries that you may afford yourself here, all the rights or perceived rights and all these things that you're given to here in America, or Babylon the Great, you start realizing there's something wrong. Something isn't, you know, something's amiss. And when you look into it, a lot of people start finding, you know, the whole, you know, legalese, the law systems, it's rigged. People start realizing that the economic system is corrupt, that it's not, it doesn't work the way that it's portrayed. You start finding out that though you pledge allegiance to the Republic of America, that this place isn't even ran like a republic; it's ran more like a democracy, right? And when you and then you also then realize that the democracy is not of the people, but it's of the corporations and all the elitists that basically have purchased power here, man. And then eventually, some people will go on and they'll find the corruptness in the food system, the education system, and so on and so on. And then eventually, if the Lord will, and He gives you the eyes to see, He makes you realize that this is all a show, right? Not a show for you know, other people's benefits and stuff like that. No, this is a show for the Lord, right? The Lord is the director of what's happening here upon earth, right? And right now, He has set up these people these Edomites, the so-called Caucasian race, to rule it. The Lord says that He sets up and destroyeth people, right, and nations, and He puts in charge whoever He will, even the basis of men, referring to these Edomites. Okay, now that's what He's done right now. And why did He do this? Well, because us Israelites, us Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, we went away from following His commandments, right? When we were led out of our first captivity in Egypt by Moses, with the strength of the Most High, we were given, a contract, right? That if we were to follow the Lord, that He would bless us, and that if we did not follow Him, He would ultimately curse us and bring us into captivity again. And lo and behold, we are now in this day still in our captivity, as the scriptures say, right? But that captivity is now coming to an end, and the Lord is now calling His people back to Him, right? And the thing is that the Lord's putting it upon the spirits of 1/3 of His people. That's 1 out of every 3 Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, to hear a form of truth, be it a video like this, realistic statistics that reveal this whole system for a sham, right? Just like Truman, he woke up to what his reality was, because he started noticing little inaccuracies in his reality, right? He couldn't leave Sea Haven, right? Every time he tried to leave, there was always something popping up that would keep him from leaving, right? To the point where it was getting ridiculous, right? Remember, there's a scene where he's driving in his car with his wife, and he's talking about he's gonna go to Atlantic City, and he starts driving in a little circle, and then what happens is there's a bunch of traffic, and then he goes crazy, and then he starts driving again in the circle, and then all just to go right back to that same street that was moments ago filled with bumper to bumper traffic, and now it's all free. You see, just like Truman, us Israelites, us Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who have woken up to the truth of our reality, have realized that, hey, we are in captivity. We are in a trap. Though we may be in a really nice prison cell, right, which constitutes America, we are still in a form of captivity, right? Most people refer to it as tax servitude or debt slaves, right? Other people refer to it as secret feudalism, where we have the elites, right? These people who run America over us, and we basically are just churning the wheels, making the donuts, I guess you could say, right? But it goes deeper than that, man, because you see, ultimately, the elites at the top are these Edomites, the so-called Caucasian race, which were given the world to fulfill prophecy, right? This is their blessing, is that they would have the whole world in subjection through their weaponry, through the power of their sword, right? And that they would ultimately have this world upside down morally. Well, that's what they've done. That's where we are at right now, people. We are at the time of the rulership of these devils, right? It says where Satan rules the world, right? This is where we have found ourselves. This is where we have woken up at. And just like Truman, we're seeking to escape. Now, here's the thing. Just like Truman, when he tried to escape through his car, he tried to go over the bridge. He kept coming into all these obstacles, man. Right, when he was running into those dogs that were blocking the bridge, those cops who were trying to stop him from leaving the town, to eventually you had that set up nuclear disaster, right? Truman did not succeed in those attempts of escaping, because those were not the ways to escape, right? However, he did succeed in one way, right? Which is, if you remember the movie, if you watched it, he tunneled out from the ground, right? And it's spiritual, right? Because it's as if he came out of the grave, right? Because when you watch that movie, he understands that there's cameras watching him, so he basically hid in his basement, and he had set up all these obstacles and all these cardboard boxes to cover his escape, and he eventually tunneled out from a basement closet through his front yard, and hence coming out. And when you look at the hole, it looked like as if somebody had crawled out of a grave. Well, that's us. When you get into Ezekiel, the scripture is talking about the valley of death and the dry bones that were in it. Those dry bones are talking about us Israelites, us Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who, though we are physically alive, we're walking around spiritually dead, thinking that we're Americans, thinking we're Mexicans, thinking that we're Indians, thinking that we're Negroes, right? Thinking that we're free in a system of captivity, right? That's us walking around as zombies, dead people, man, having no true understanding of who we are, right? Well, back to the Truman Show, right? Truman eventually evades all the authorities, right? All the people who were set up to love him, to be his friends, they all turn into demons, right? They all turn into SWAT team, enforcement, agents all looking for him, right? Trying to bring him back to reality. And again, and that also is spiritual when you look into all that stuff, man. Because again, when you come into this truth, what does the scripture say? He that departeth from wicked maketh himself a prey. And that's ultimately what we've done. Us Israelites, us Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who have woken up to the truth and have found that the only escape is through the Bible, right? By coming back to the Lord. Well, we have made ourselves a prey. And now, when you wake up, you have this short period where you start telling everybody, you want to tell everybody the truth, and everybody starts thinking that you're crazy, right? Just like Truman, right? When he started telling his wife and his friend about this, and they were all acting like he was crazy, and oh, you're crazy, Truman. You're saying this whole town is set up for you. It's like that, and eventually what happens is they turn on him, right? And that eventually will happen, to us, if it's not already happened to some of us already, right? Our families who are entrenched in the system, our friends who are dependent on the system, right? They're going to start seeing us like enemies, right? And why is that? Because we won't get those jabs. We won't go along with the lie of this portrayed reality, right? They're doing what they think is best and trying to bring us back into captivity, or what they feel is reality. But you see, the thing is they in turn become the enemy. And again, if I hate to do this, but when you get into the Matrix, there was a scene where Neo was walking with Morpheus, and they walked by that lady in red, right? And Morpheus notes that Neo gets distracted, right? And not only that, then he breaks it down further, saying that these people who are in the world, the Matrix, that they're so plugged in and they're so dependent upon the system that they will fight to protect it. And that goes all the way back to the allegory of the cave, right? Talking about if you were ever to escape this cave of lies, and if you were to go back and try to free the others who are in the captivity of the cave, that they would fight and they would curse you and they would see you as the enemy. And that's ultimately what we have or will become to those who at one point were closest to us, our friends, families, co-workers, right? And that's ultimately what happened with that Truman Show, right? When they were hunting him down, they were gonna basically put that man to death. Well, once we get past that, right? What did Truman do? Well, he went through the rough seas, right, to try to escape, not knowing where he was going, but trusting that there was something there, right? And that's what we do. That's what us Israelites get into, man, right? Because we understand, right? Because a lot of us have been through many avenues of truth, man. We've gone into so-called conspiracy theories. We've gone into like the whole economic systems. This is why a lot of brothers, we can speak a bit about certain truths. But you got brothers out there who can break down conspiracy theories, right? Or they can break down the way the banking and economic systems really work. And that's because we have all gone through these things, right? Because we have researched it and we found it that, yes, those are truths, but those aren't the ultimate truth. Those are simply, I guess you could say, a spoke upon the wheel, right? It's not the entire wheel, but it's part of the wheel, right? But again, a lot of people won't realize this, man. A lot of people won't even get to the part where they even realize that, you know, what one of these spokes upon that wheel of truth is, right? Just like, how can I put, man? There's in the Truman Show, when Truman was trying to explain the truth to his buddy and his wife, you could see that they kind of got it just a little bit, but ultimately they played their parts and they went right back to the false reality characters, right? And this is ultimately what happens with whenever you try to explain this truth to somebody who's not supposed to get it, right? Your friends, your family. You could explain to them as diligently as you possibly can. You could have charts. That's what I used to do, man. I used to make images, and a lot of the images I have, that I've shared with the community, a lot of those came from my attempts to try to explain this truth to people who were still asleep, right? And you may succeed a little bit. Some people may wake up, may understand, oh, we are the Israelites. But what happens is they go back. They will eventually, because this truth was not meant for them, they will eventually go back to that dead state, that asleep state that they were in, right? That falls upon this. This is Daniel 12:10. Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand, right? And that's ultimately what happens, man. A lot of this truth is not meant for the masses, man. You know, they'll accept it, and they'll start talking with you, and they'll maybe watch a few videos here and there. Someone may even come into a camp, but eventually they get kicked out of the camp, or they fall out, they stop showing up, or more than likely they just stop referencing it, the truth with you. They stop looking into it, and they go back to their sports, they go back to their jobs, they go back to this false reality, right? Because again, this truth was not meant for them, right? They were simply one of the actors that the Lord set up to play their part here in our captivity, regardless if they were Israelites or not. This is Baruch 2:30. For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivity, they shall remember themselves. Right? And the Lord here is referring to the Israelites, us Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. We are a stiff-necked people, man. We are stubborn as all hell. Right? And the Lord knew that, man. But eventually, He also understood that 1/3 of us would not be as stiff-necked as the rest of our people. That we would hear this truth and we would wake up, right? And this is why ultimately the Lord has made shows like The Truman Show, The Matrix, and all these other movies and shows that reference our reality, right? One, because these devils that make all these movies have to reveal what they're actually doing to us, so that way karma doesn't come back and hit them in the ass. But second, because the Lord put that spirit upon them, put that rule upon them, so that way they must reveal it. Because why? Because the Lord is waking us Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans up, right? This is what the Lord is doing, man, and this is reality, people. This is the truth of the matter, right? Because I know a lot of the movies and TV shows, they put a lot of us into this false sense of reality where it makes a lot of people believe that a lot of things happen in reality. Like, you don't get the seriousness of it, man. But you got to realize, man, that this is reality. This is the truth. This is real life, and it's really happening right now, people. That you have a lot of Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans waking up, just like you had Truman from the Truman Show wake up, right? So I just wanted to touch upon that, Akim. I wanted to show you all that little clip that man made about the Truman Show, to show the connections between that show and how it's really just talking about us being here in captivity, and more so us Israelites, Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who really this whole system has been created for, right? Because remember, man, the reason why the Lord allowed for something like this horrible to be created is because he had to fulfill his prophecy of bringing us back into captivity. So yes, though the other nations are here in Babylon the Great, also under a form of captivity, they are simply just actors in the background. But you yourself, you Negro, Latino, Native Americans, you are the stars of this show, right? And the Lord now is simply just waiting for it to all play out, just like we who have woken up. We're waiting for this movie to finish, right? And the great thing is that, you know, when you come to the truth of the Bible, when you realize that all these conspiracy theories, all these truths, all these things, right, all go back to the Bible, you realize that, hey, we got it in the bag. We will win these events that come, man. And when we prevail, Lord will, we're those men, we will be set on high, right, on the next iteration of humanity, right, as its rulers, along with the Messiah, right, and the world will be reset in righteousness, right. We're going to basically no longer be living in a Truman show, but we're going to be living in the true world, right. So hopefully this video was edifying. Until the next time, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Kokodash. Double honors to my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect.